Have you ever heard of the Hinterkaifeck Murders? If you haven't, this is one of the most haunting unsolved murder cases in history. Hinterkaifeck was a small, isolated farm in Bavaria, Germany. It sat by itself, surrounded by fields and woods, and 6 people lived here. The farm owner, Andrea, and his wife, Casilia, their widowed daughter, Victoria, Victoria's 2 children, 7-year-old Casilia and 2-year-old Joseph, and finally the family's new maid, Maria. Maria had only arrived to the farm that same day to begin working for the family, and to anyone passing by, it looked like an ordinary farmhouse, quiet, peaceful, the kind of place where nothing unusual ever seems to happen. Several days before the murders, Andreas noticed something unusual. There were footprints in the snow leading from the woods to the farmhouse. Curious, he followed them, but noticed something that made no sense. The footprints stopped at the farm, and there were no footprints leading back to the woods. Whoever walked onto that property never left. And then other strange things started happening. At night, the family would hear footsteps coming from the attic. A newspaper appeared that no one recognized. A set of house keys mysteriously disappeared. And months earlier, the family's previous maid had quit because she claimed she was also hearing unexplained noises coming from the farmhouse. At the time, the events probably seemed unrelated, but looking back, they almost feel like a warning sign. Then came the night of March 31st, 1922. Based on the evidence, police believe someone managed to lure members of the family, one by one, to the barn. And as each person entered, they were attacked with a mattock. First came Andreas, then his wife, and then Victoria, and finally little 7-year-old Casilia. After killing the 4 family members, the killer then entered the farmhouse, where Maria was killed in her bedroom, and 2-year-old Joseph was killed while asleep in his bed. No one discovered the bodies for days. Neighbors assumed the family was busy, but when little Casilia didn't arrive at school and the family didn't attend church, people began worrying. On April 4th, several neighbors went to the farmhouse to check on the family, and that's where they found 4 bodies hidden beneath piles of hay. Inside the house, they found Maria. Upstairs, they found little Joseph still lying in his crib. This was one of the most horrifying crime scenes Germany had ever seen. During their investigation, investigators realized that someone had continued living on the farm after murdering the family, because the livestock had been fed and meals were prepared, and the fireplace was also kept burning. Police questioned neighbors, friends, family members, former employees, and anyone who might have a connection to the farm. A man named Lawrence Schlissenbauer became a prime suspect, but suspicion wasn't enough, and there simply wasn't enough evidence to charge him. Over the years, more than 100 people were investigated. Every theory answered some questions, but created new ones. Even decades later, investigators reopened the case using modern technique. Despite everything they reviewed, they still couldn't determine who murdered the family. And the Hinterkaifeck murders remain unsolved. More than a century has passed, and people are still asking the same questions. Who made the footprints leading to the farm? And who was walking in the attic? Were those strange events connected to the murders? Or was it just a coincidence? And did the killer really spend days living on that isolated farm after murdering an entire family? No one has ever been able to answer those questions. Anyways, I have to admit, I didn't sleep for at least 2 nights straight after reading about this case. If you guys enjoyed today's story, let me know which case you'd like me to cover next. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.